Hi, and welcome to the 64 Doors. Today we're going to open door 48. Here we find the Librarian, and this is an archetype that is all about depth, taste, and solutions. We're going to explore the Librarian from a human design perspective and a Jinky perspective. So here we have the Rave Mandala with all the 12 signs and all the 64 gates. And this is what we go through, the sun goes through every year. So right now the sun is in Libra in gate 48. The earth is in Aries in gate 21. And the design part of the cross is the 38 in Capricorn and the 39 in Cancer. If you are born during the transit of the 48, you're going to have one of three incarnation crosses. These three crosses are the cross of tension, the cross of depth, and the cross of endeavor. You can see that the design part of the cross is going to shift. And that is because the cross is not a 90-degree cross, it's an 88-degree cross. So with the 39 and the 38 is going to be this tension to have a deeper understanding, to acquire more skills, and to bring depth to the world. And that's the same thing when you have it in the left angle cross and the juxtaposition cross. But the drive here, the 53 and the 54, is almost more about kind of an aspiration. And it's an aspiration to contribute to more like depth, to make a contribution to the collective, we could say. And it's more like kind of an individual quest in the right angle cross. So if you have one of these three crosses, I would go to the Jinky website as well and look at your activation sequence, because you're going to have an explanation, a paragraph for each one of the hexagrams, and you're going to learn more than just this little snippet about your incarnation cross. So going back to the standard view of the body graph, we see that the 48 comes out of the splenic center. It has to do with taste, because here in the splenic center, we have all the different senses, the intuition, the instinct, the senses. And it's going up, meeting the 16 in the throat center. And this is the channel of the wavelength, or the channel of talent. And it has to do with a talent that comes with constant repetition. And I would say that with a 48, though, that's kind of a little bit more of the 16 energy. It's very versatile. It kind of has to stick with one thing and repeat it. The 48, I feel, has an inherent talent. It's more like it has to realize that it's enough, that it doesn't have to learn more, that it's already really, really resourceful, really, really enough. And looking at the same channel in the integral human design, we see that the low frequency is the deficiency, feeling like you don't know enough yet, or that kind of scatterness that the 16 can bring, where you're like going everywhere, but you're not staying with one thing. And it has to do with the collective. It is a stream of service that we see here in the 1648. And what I feel is interesting, right now we are in the coding of matter, and those gene keys are going to come after each other in the transits. So we were in the 46, then the 18, then the 48, and then the 57. So this 46 is programming the SQ, the 18 is programming the IQ, the 48 is programming the EQ, and the 57 is programming the core. And if we see here what it says, so these are three phases, the physical, the emotional, the mental. So physical 46, emotional 48, and mental 18. And then it says, this codon ring is of huge importance at the developmental level, as it governs the very infrastructure of our physical, emotional, and mental health. So we go through these 7-year cycles from we are born, where we develop first the physical body, then the emotional body, and then the mental body. So the 48 has to do with the emotions. It has to do with the emotional intelligence. It has to do with being, 7-8 years and starting school and having these first encounters where maybe it's not hopefully the safety that we have had in our families, like kind of out in the big world. And that's when we start to respond or react emotionally, and where the things that happen to us there and the things that have happened also before can kind of stay with us and make us more react than respond. And this is also why parents and teachers have a lot of responsibility to help children acquire that kind of emotional maturity, because this is kind of our ideology, how we are going to feel about and how we're going to meet life. And if we don't have a strong kind of foundation there, when we go into the 18, the IQ after 15 to 21, those traumas are kind of going to be imprinted, and they are going to make us more rigid, because we are trying to protect ourselves with like a rigid mental mindset, so that we can protect ourselves to not feel the same emotions that we kind of couldn't protect ourselves from when we were in the developmental phase before. So this is super, super important. And I feel that often when I do readings, it's either in the IQ phase or in the SQ phase, no, the EQ phase or the SQ phase, where I can see that there is a blockage. And it's often that's kind of where we need to reclaim, so that we can walk the golden path, the Venus sequence, and really reclaim all the parts up to the core, so that we can live free. So it's not the mental body blocking us, it's not the emotional body blocking us, it's not the physical body blocking us, but there is a communication between all these parts of ourselves. And that is how we can go all the way back to the core and really fulfill the task that the soul had decided to come here and work with. So this is one of the most, I think it's the most deep and fulfilling part of the golden path to really understand. And like we say, these are the gene keys that program, that are the coding for each one of these spheres in the golden path. And in the I Ching, this is the well. So that goes together with the depth that we were speaking about, and with the feeling like, is it really enough? And it's not until somebody comes and drinks from the well that they can really feel the wisdom of the 48, of the librarian. The I Ching, we also see here that it's the water over wind. So when we look at the geometry, we see that these three are the 57, which is wind over wind. These three are the 29, which is water over water. And then it becomes this beautiful geometry. Inadequacy is half-heartedness with an ease. Resourcefulness is commitment with intuition. And wisdom is devotion to clarity. Super beautiful. And then clarity is found at the bottom of the well. So here we also see that in this braid, in this geometry, we have the 57 that's also connected to the 48, which is all, again, part of that codon ring of matter. Astrology, so we are still in Libra. So here we have the partner, the peace bringer, the diplomat, the collaboration, the connection. And that's a lot what the EQ is about. It is that the connection, the collaboration, and the trust in that we can, in relationship, be understood. We can have peace. It can be that the scales of the Libra. It can be fair. So that is really what we need to learn, what we need to experience more than anything in the 7 to 14 year period, in order to trust the world, in order to be able to go out as whole human beings. So that is about, you could of course go into 64 doors and read about what is the victim of inadequacy, what is the reactive, what is the repressive pattern. You can also get the library where Richard is showing us all the mudras. That is a great way to embody this wisdom without just like the mental understanding, but really kind of bring it down into the body and into more like the ritual and the sacredness of of what it is to feel, and especially with the 48 that has to do with the senses, like kind of, you know, what is it to bring this into your intuition. And that's probably going to take you also into that period of your life from 7 to 14, and see how can you parent that child that didn't always feel emotionally safe, and allow it to start to believe that it's possible, and to start to trust you as a parent. Another thing that this transit is asking us to do is to look at our relationship with fear. And knowing that we are in the splenic center and we're going through all these different splenic gates that are the fear gates, and that are part of that cornering of matter. So when you feel fear, is how are you judging it? Sometimes, especially when we look at the 46, it is telling us that bliss and pain are very close, and maybe the difference many times is just a different judgment of how we think about it. So this week, look at how do you react, or how do you respond when you feel fear. It's also going back to the emotional realm when we're speaking about inadequacy. So going back and feeling into where in your life have you been feeling inadequate? Are you allowing that to kind of dictate your life still today? If somebody told you, oh, you can't dance, is that still something that you're believing? So letting go of some of those emotional reactions that you've had that maybe are shrinking your life from what it could be. Look at when you're feeling that you're not enough, and how that is preventing you from living fully. And also when it comes to taste, so here we have the sense of taste. So are you a picky eater? Are you maybe somebody who, when it comes to chocolate or wine, that you can really have this sophisticated discernment of what's quality and what's not quality? Looking at the relationship to your body, and really like the layers of the physical, the emotional, and the mental, and how they are all woven together. That's really something we can do in all the transits of the cornering of matter. And when it comes to advice, you know, the 48th is all about the depth. So look at yourself, like, do you resonate with having this inherent wisdom? Do you have people that are coming to you for advice, and why? And also, when you ask somebody for advice, you probably are going to ask a person that you know has wisdom, that you know has depth, that you know has like a whole portfolio of experiences. So I wish you a week of depth and of wisdom, and I will see you in the next transit.